Welcome to Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. I am telling you. But before I get started, I want to get into a few notions. But folks, remember, this is a call-in show. You can give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. This is your show. So if you, at any time, you guys can change the subject, as many have you done before, and then we always get back to it. Anyhow, 713-526-5738. Don't wait till the end of the show to call, which a lot of times you do. Then I don't get a chance to really have a seat and talk to you. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. How was, today's my first day back into the studio, of course, because we got preempted on Monday. So it's me asking you. I trust that you had a great weekend. I trust that you're here getting prepared for the holidays, eat that good food, and entertain all the friends that maybe you hadn't entertained for some time. But you know what? Remember, that's what it's all about. Family, friends, acquaintances, and us all. 713-526-5738. Title of the show today is The Rich Get Welfare as We Work. Why? Our mainstream media is derelict and stock markets a fraud. But before, I want to contextualize what I'm going to talk about beforehand. And, as I was driving in to the studio from Kingwood, sort of said, how am I going to preempt what I want to talk about? Because as it turns out, we kind of just accept everything in general. We're loving people. Americans are loving people. Americans are nice people. Panamanians are nice people. Salvadorians are nice people. Venezuelans are nice people. Jamaicans are nice people. Chinese are nice people. Got the point? Most people are nice people. Most people are not out there really trying to create waves. But within every society, we have what I call the psychopaths. The psychopaths. And who are the psychopaths? The psychopaths are those who are able to do one thing, monopolize on everything, and sort of have control on the way we think, control on what we should believe or what we shouldn't believe, or all these kinds of things. But, if they were doing that to move us forward as a positive, to make our lives better, I don't mind positive indoctrination. There's a lot of positive indoctrination in my life, in your life. That's a good thing. Some people get positive indoctrination out of the church. Some people get positive indoctrination out of societies that they're a part of. Some people get positive, a positive feeling out of family, friends, etc. There are a lot of ways that we get positive influence in the form of some sort of indoctrination, right? So that's okay. The general of Panama, Omar Torrijos Herrera, when he was a supposedly dictator in Panama, great things happened under his reign. Like he opened up the interior of the country and he got dams built and all these things that really brought the lives of these people up. He wasn't a quote unquote democratic elected leader. He was a leader who took over from a quasi-democratically elected body that did nothing for the people, that only supported the plutocracy, to people like to call him a dictator. I never called him a dictator. I called him somebody who wanted to do right by the people, right? A lot of Panamanians would give me hell for saying this. A lot of them would give me hell for saying this. But that is what occurred in the country. I went to places like La Represa Bayano, the dams that he built to get people electricity who'd never had electricity before, and etc. So I lived through that. Now in America, we have a democracy. We have big elections all over. But somehow, people are still living paycheck to paycheck. 80% of people are still living paycheck to paycheck, right? And we have all kinds of laws that are passed, and politicians are making promises that they're going to do this and that for you. And somehow, nothing ever happens. Somehow, the same people that always continue to do well, the people that continue to do marginally well are doing marginally well, and then the rest of the people just do badly, and they think that is just how things are supposed to be. That is just how things are, you know. We can't change it. From the inception of this country, that's just how things are. We can't change it. But that's not the case. That isn't the case. And that, henceforth, the title of my show today. The rich get welfare as we work. Why? Our mainstream media is derelict and stock markets a fraud. The Secure Act 2.0 and a rigged stock market proves our economic system was designed by and for the wealthy from its inception. And you hear that all the time. I talk about this all the time. So it's not, you hear me say this over and over and over again. But you know what? The other side knows that indoctrination, repetition, kind of have people believing that even fallacies are true, even lies are true. I have listeners to my show many times, especially on the internet show, that would repeat the same thing over and over and over again because they believe it. They were indoctrinated into it, right? And why has it worked? And hence the second sentence of my subtitle. And the mainstream media frame the message that keeps us ignorant. And, you know, I'm guilty as well, right? I was an ignorant person for a long, long time. You know, I was a true, full, red-blooded, I was always an activist now. I was always looking out for the people, but I was also an avid, unfettered capitalist as well. You know, I mean, if you take a look at how, you know, I formed my company, etc., that's what I was until I kept on asking questions. Who pays? Who pays? Who pays? You know, you're getting your monies, but you keep asking who pays, who pays, who pays, who pays. And that is a part that's called empathy, looking through other people's eyes, right? You want to look through today while I was driving into the studio, there were these guys at the corner, and I felt bad because I didn't have a few coins to throw into the cup, right? But as I'm passing there, I'm sitting back there, and I'm like, nobody should have to live like that. These guys are either sick mentally or they just had a bad frame around them, right? I mean, nobody wants to sit on the street in the cold asking for a few coins. A lot of people like to look at these guys with disdain. They hate them. They don't get out of my sight. Out of sight. If you're out of sight, I can't see it. It doesn't exist, right? We have to change the being. So anyhow, a few Substacks ago, and that's my newsletter that I do for this particular show, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And by the way, you can subscribe to my newsletter. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to subscribe to my newsletter. Anyway, a few Substacks ago, it's a Substack. A few Substacks ago, I asked an important question. What kind of America do you want? Tell me if you want to live in my America, the America that I see, the utopia that can be. That's the America I see. Because of the wealth of our lands, yes, I understand the history of our lands hasn't been kind, but we can always atone for what's been or was done. We want much. We want much that is possible, but have settled for very little because of the well-designed messages developed by the owners of capital from this country's inception. Unfortunately, the fourth estate, our media is complicit, some willfully, and because of peer pressure, habit, and ignorance. Again, there are a lot of great people in the media. I look at guys like Ali Velshi from MSNBC. I look at women like Katie Tur from MSNBC. I look at her husband, I can't remember his name right now, at CBS. All these people are out there in corporate Americans, in corporate America's land, right? And they are reporting within their constraints good stuff. They're being empathetic. They're asking the right questions, even as they're surrounded by those who would try to moot what they're saying, who would try to attenuate what they're saying. But they're good guys in the mainstream media. The problem is, Who pays the bills? The problem is that those who are paying the bill pretty much forbids them from being able to say the things that they must say, the things that you should hear. Right? It is so important. It is so important. So I want you guys to listen to what we're going to talk about today in detail. I also want you to call in. I want you to realize that this is your show and we can all learn together and we can all remove the indoctrination, the chains from our minds so that we can really at some point in our history in the next few years make America what America should be. John, come on in. John, you're on.
Hey, Berto.
How are you doing, John?
I'm doing great.
Talk to me.
How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Talk to me, my friend.
Good. Oh man, you are so cool. I just love your program. You open eyes up like crazy. I'm very aligned with the way you think, and I would want to live in your version of America. Believe me.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, and you know what? We have to make our version of America. We have to stop allowing the psychopaths to be the ones. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a little later in the article. But I mean, because my friend, it's amazing to me what we tolerate over and over again.
Oh, my goodness. You tell me, man. I'm an older guy, and I blame myself for not being more vigilant, for not being more active, and not speaking out more when I saw stuff I did not agree with and that I thought was wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're taught in America, to shut up and keep your head down.
Right.
And people have got to start saying something when they see something that is wrong. Like a lady on the street last night, I pull into a fast food place or grab a couple of sandwiches, and there's a lady walking around with all her possessions on her back. And This is dark. The wind is blowing. It's mist and rain. I honked my horn and I rolled my window down. I gave her one of my sandwiches and I just told her, I'm sorry. And it breaks your heart to know that you live somewhere that is so rich and then we treat people so badly.
Man, but you know what? We have learned. Some of our leaders have taught us that being rude, being ill-willed to others is somehow a good thing, right? It's somehow a positive thing, and that is what we have to unlearn. We have to unlearn to look at somebody on the streets and start judging them for they're lazy or whatever, and instead ask the questions like, what was their childhood like? People like to call that a bleeding heart liberal. It's not a bleeding heart liberal. It's just being human. Well,
I don't even care about that. I just want to know how I can help.
Exactly.
That's the only thing I want to see.
Well, I
don't care how they got there.
Well, John, let me tell you why.
They got there because this messed up country.
Right.
But if we can change that just by helping, don't even ask questions. Like, let me help you.
John,
that's what more people have got to do.
You're absolutely right. But the reason I want to know the genesis of the problem, how they got there, right, is so we can correct it. There you go. Yes. That's.
You're very intelligent. You always have another reason for everything you do. I like that about you. Man, you're just great.
Well, look, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. And you are great for calling in and exposing some more of this issue to give us the option to talk about it. What I tell the folks in my chat all the time, and by the way, MG Becker is in the chat, says, "Hi, Egberto. I never usually talk on these chats and probably never will again, but I just wanted to let you know that you explain things so that I can understand them. Happy holidays." Thank you so kindly, MG Becker. And Eric Hayes, welcome to the chat. And everybody else in the chat. But John, is there anything else you want to say, Brother John?
I hope everybody has a happy and safe holiday, and that I hope that we can all come to our senses and start seeing the reality in front of us and taking steps to change that to something that's beneficial to all Americans.
Thank you, John.
No matter where you came from.
Brother John, thank you. And remember, it's one step ahead of the next, and it's not going to be fast because big changes occur slowly. You have a great day, my brother. Happy holiday to you.
It took us a while to get here. It's going to take a while to get out, but we got to start somewhere.
You got that right, brother. Thank you so kindly. You have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
All right.
You too, man.
Anyway, folks, thank you for that call. Thank you, MG Decker. And please, folks, give me a call. Let's continue the conversation. If you have something to add, 713-526-5738. I'm doing it a little bit slower because I'm told that I speak kind of fast sometimes. 713-526-5738. Hit the number 2 if you want to be on air. And before I forget to tell you, I do want to tell you guys something. You know, in order to kind of reduce the amount of time that we spend fundraising the 4 or 5 times a year that we do for a few weeks every time, we have this stuff called the silent contribution, if you will. So meaning if you're listening to this show and you go to our website at kpft.org and you see that donate button, the more folks hit that donate button during the times that we are not on air spending a lot of time pitching and asking for money, the shorter the time is that we can spend, that we have to stop our regular programming to go into fundraising mode. And none of us like going into fundraising mode, but you know, to keep the lights on, all that good stuff, that's what we got to do. So please remember, if you want during our show or any other time, just go to kpft.org and hit that donate button and say, we are supporting good radio, or call us at 713-526-5738 and hit the number 1 if you want to contribute. But if you want to talk to me right this minute, hit 713-526-5738 and hit the number 2. Don't forget, every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, there is You Talk with Steve, 713-526-5738. Right now on the boards, we have the one and only Rico, and he's also doing the phones. Rico is such a blast. I don't know how you can handle all of that. He's like the operator with the, what you call that animal that in the ocean with multiple arms again. Rico, what is that called? Come on, put your voice on the air so people can hear you, brother.
Are you talking about an octopus?
You're an octopus, man.
Thank you.
That's what you are right now. You're an octopus. Okay. All right, folks. Let me tell you, guys. I'm going to continue with the essay, and as I await your call, I want to hear your voice on this issue. I'm going to repeat the paragraph. A few substacks ago, I asked an important question. What kind of America do you want? Tell me if you want to live in the America, in my America, in our America. We want much that is possible, but have settled for very little because of the well-designed messages developed by the owners of capital from this country's inceptions. Unfortunately, the fourth estate, or media, is complicit, some willfully, some because of peer pressure, habit, and ignorance. 2 mechanisms in our economic system cloak the wealth transfer from the poor to rich, and in a legality and false equity. In other words, a lot of mechanisms are there to make sure that the rich stays wealthy and to transfer as much as we can earn back to them. I'm going to give you a quick example and then I'll continue the essay. Right now, they're talking about inflation, right? But we've calculated perfectly that the cause of inflation is corporate gouging of the prices. In other words, their price increase does not match the amount that they've increased the prices to us, and it's reflected in the amount of profits that they're showing. The explosion in their profits, it's shown. So that means they are taking the money out of our pockets and pocketing that money. When that mother is going to drive her kid to that nursery, that mother has to spend more of that money that could otherwise have gone into savings for that child's education later on. And all these other things that she could have done to help her family goes into the pocket of that rich fat cat that really didn't earn the money and doesn't deserve the money, and etc. He gets it. She gets it. The corporate elite and the stockholders who are working on that blood money. But the other part of that increase in inflation came from the ineptitude of these corporate class, right? They went and they've offshored all our products, and which means if there's a pandemic, if there's a hurricane or whatever, because they yet instituted another thing called just-in-time inventory. If the ship goes down, if the hurricane shows up, and that inventory doesn't get into place at the right time, guess what happens? We have a shortage, and guess who pays for that? You do. So inflation has nothing to do with you, but guess how they're going to fix it? They don't tell those guys who screwed up to eat the loss, and not the loss, eat the less profit, because they never lose. You know what they say? We are going to increase interest so that your mortgage, your credit cards, and everything else costs more. And you're still spending the money. You either spend the money with inflated product prices, or you spend the money by giving it to the bank with the increase in interest rates. And by the way, the interest rates that they increase, they didn't have to pay that back to the government at all. It goes into their profit margin, because when you're paying 19, 20, 21% in interest on your credit card, when the discount rate is under 5%, brothers and sisters, somebody's making a lot of money and it's not you. They're taking it from you and giving it to others. That is what we tolerate. So the two mechanisms back to the essay, the two mechanisms in our economic system cloak the wealth transfer from the poor to the rich in legality and false equity. The stock market and the tax code. Wall Street on Parade, a citizen guide to Wall Street, sent me a newsletter titled, Mr. Gensler, the U.S. stock market structure is an institutionalized wealth transfer system. And then another article I came up with this morning. Common Dreams pointed out that many progressive organizations are complaining about the new omnibus bill that continues tilting the tax code to the rich with the Secure 2.0 Act. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about capital. And the reason I want to talk about capital is that, there's something about taxes that when it reaches a certain point, we ask ourselves, I am working hard to give taxes for what? Right? In other words, you work hard, you pay, when you buy your products, you pay sales tax, you pay income tax, you pay taxes to register your car, you pay taxes on all these particular items, right? And people complain about that. And you know what? I will say for a fact that most of the times that complaint is unjustified when we're paying those particular taxes. When we pay the tax, not estate taxes, but the taxes on our home, our real estate taxes, we complain. In Kingwood, I have and most people in Houston, they have two sets of property taxes, right? They have their school taxes and they have their state taxes, right? And it's quite a bit, right? But we don't have the state income tax. What happens though is you go around and see what these taxes are used for. I'm talking regular taxes are used for. I mean, we do a lot of stuff I look around Houston, right? And I look at what the city does. I'm not saying it's super efficient. It's not. But because there are a lot of things that could be done better. But does the private sector do it better? Absolutely not. We can go into that some other time. But I look at all the things that occur in Houston. I wish our streets were better, but we don't want to pay the extra taxes to fix our streets. These are very high expenditures, and spending taxes on streets is not a loss. It's something that has value. But anyhow, going back to the subject at hand. So we pay those taxes and we complain like hell, right? But you want to know where the biggest tax that you're going to pay as a responsible citizen? I'm going to name it because I added it up the other day. For my home, I have something called homeowner's insurance. For my car, I have something called automobile insurance. To ensure that I have certain things are paid off, I have to have a certain type of maybe term or otherwise life insurance. To go ahead and do certain parts of work on your home, you need to get an insurance policy. You add up all the insurances that you pay day in, day out. Health insurance, the biggest of them all. You calculate the amount of monies going to an insurance company. You should look at the United States government of America, who has a military, who has water districts, water dams to control, who has the air, the skies to control. All these things that the government has under its purview. I'm not saying it's all efficient. I'm not. But all these things that are done for the amount of taxes that you pay, think about it. Then think about the insurance companies who also tax you, but they just call it insurance payments, right? Think about the amount of money you give these guys. They don't have an army. They don't create the dam. They don't fix the dams. They don't do all the things, the streets, all these things that your government does for you. They just take that money from you. And if you happen to be one of those that don't get sick often, if you happen to be one of those who are, I don't know, never get into a wreck, if you happen to be one of those who your house never burnt down, you never needed a roof or anything like that, guess what? That is equivalent to most Americans. Most Americans don't use these services that they pay for, right? But you use the streets. You're protected by the army. Your water is protected. Those taxes that you pay every single year, every single day, it's used for something that you use every single day. And we are taught by the plutocracy, by the private sector, to hate taxes because they're inefficient. But you look at insurance now, what the private sector takes from you to supposedly protect you as well. And you don't complain about how they're pilfering you, how they're suckering you, how they're fleecing you. And you look at the richest companies in this world, the one that pays the high rates to the people who sell insurance, who profit from insurance, who do all these things. And the first time they get into trouble, like they did with the insurance of credit default swaps back in 2008, they cratered. And who came to their rescue again? We the people, the American government, we, our taxpayer dollars, revived them. And we're worried about taxes, people? You see how we are programmed, how we are indoctrinated into believing that somehow these taxes are so bad, so overbearing, and that which is really overbearing, we just take. That didn't happen by accident. That didn't happen by mistake. There was always a concerted effort since the Powell Memo. As we were becoming more intelligent to what our government or to what our country, how it actually worked. And when we asked ourselves in a capitalist structure, why is it that we who do the work have gotten so little from it? As we started to get there, the Powell Memo came out. Lewis Powell wrote the memo and said, hey, these damn people are getting too smart now. We got to do something about that. We have to create the Cato Institute. We got to create the Heritage Foundation. We have to create all these institutes that are designed to pretty much tell you a lie in a palatable form, to let you believe that somehow the private sector is better than you, we the people. Remember that. That's their design. That's their intent. Because if you ever learn the truth, there is no way you would pay what you pay in insurance. There was no way you would allow those people who charge you what they charge you. There was no way you would allow the Fed to inflate your interest rates to make sure that somehow those plutocrats, those evil thugs, raise your prices and keep it there. It's not your fault. It's not your doing, but it is the one part that is all our faults, is when we are presented with fact-based info that can better all our lives, we allow them to create all kinds of isms to separate us, and a separated people cannot do what's necessary to move us forward. Essential. 713-526-5738. Give me a call. Hit number 2. Only had one call so far. A lot of chats, but no calls. like some calls to see what you're thinking. 713-526-5738. Hit the number 2 and we'll get you on air. Okay, so continue with the essay. 2 mechanism. It's a newsletter. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You get all, I write about all this stuff. I talk about all of this. And I give the links that make sure you believe that this isn't just coming off the top of the head or something like that. Everything that we talk about here is corroborated. Everything that we talk about here, I promise you, you can ask about it. I guarantee you're going to find what we're talking about truthful, unlike much of what you see on regular TV. All right, so I need to reread a couple of sentences before, and it goes like this. 2 mechanisms in our economic system cloak the wealth transfer from the poor to the rich in legality and false equity. The stock market and the tax code. Wall Street on Parade, a citizen guide to Wall Street, sent me a newsletter titled, Mr. Gensler, the U.S. stock market structure is an institutionalized wealth transfer system. Common Dreams pointed out that many progressives organizations are complaining about the new omnibus bill that continues tilting the tax code to the rich with its Secure 2.0 Act. Morris Pearl, chairman of the Patriotic Millionaire, also sent a press release stating the following about the new omnibus bill, Secure Act 2.0. It says, I am tired of tax cuts for the rich being sold as help for the poor. I want to repeat that. This is Morris Pearl talking. He is a chairman of the Patriotic Millionaires. It goes like this. He says, I'm tired of tax cuts for the rich being sold as help for the poor. The retirement changes in the omnibus package overwhelmingly benefits wealthy people like me while doing almost nothing for the people who truly struggle to save for retirement. This bill does not make it easier for workers to save for retirement. It just makes it easier for high-income earners to shelter more of their earnings for taxes. This law will make my heirs hundreds of thousands of dollars wealthier. It will do virtually nothing for the workers who toasted my bagel this morning. This may be good for the children of some rich people, but in the long run, the increased inequity it creates is bad for everyone, including my family. This legislation is not what America needs to help workers save for retirement. Congress should scrap Secure 2.0 and start from scratch with something that would help all Americans, not just the rich, save for a comfortable, well-deserved retirement. A multi-billion-dollar tax cut for the rich should not be the last act of a Democratic Congress. Look, folks, I interviewed Morris D 3 times. This guy, we don't agree in that he's a 100% capitalist, but the difference between him with the rest is that he has a heart. And he looks and he said, I worked for the money, I followed the rules, but I am not asking folks to just keep giving me tax breaks or the like. I worked hard, but I want to make sure that the tax system works for everybody, that everybody has equal access to success. Now, I believe in a bit more government intervention than he does. But that's fine. That's why we're America. We don't have to all believe the same thing. But we all generally want the same thing. Morris D is a great guy. I have a hell of a lot of respect for him. And I want to read a part of his blog because he lays out why the Secure 2.0 Act is so bad. Here's how he goes. He said the following. Back in the 1990s, I was making good money for working for an investment bank. He worked for BlackRock. And I was putting the maximum amount allowed into my individual retirement account, IRA, and a 401k plan that was later merged into my IRA. So part of my retirement savings are now in these tax-advantaged plans. The tax advantage is that I never paid any income taxes on all that money I earned. So as I deposited money into these plans, the decrease in my take-home pay was far less than what I put into the plans. let's say hypothetically that I am a 62-year-old and I have $2 million in my IRA. And by the way, he has more than $2 million in his IRA. If I get a 6% annual return, I will have about $3.2 million when I am 71 years old. In other words, in about 9 years, you'll have that $2 million would have grown to $3.2 million. Using the current IRS distribution tables, assuming I live to 84, I will have withdrawn about $2.5 million and paid regular income taxes on all those withdrawals, leaving my heirs with about $3.6 million. I will have to start withdrawing no matter what at age 72. When you have an IRA and you reach age 72, you have to start pulling your money out whether you want to or not. And that is, there are reasons behind that, but beyond the scope of this show. If the law is changed like it appears it's about to be in the upcoming omnibus spending package, I would be allowed to not withdraw anything for 3 more years. And I am 75 until I'm 75. I have enough money to get by without tapping into those savings, so I can take advantage of this change to keep my money in my account and have 3 more years of investment returns. This would have my heirs with $4 million, $400,000 more without lifting a finger, just because of the bill your Congress is about to sign in a week or so. Actually, in about 3 days, they're going to sign this bill so they can get home for Christmas. So they're about to give Morris D's relatives at least an extra $400,000. Okay? But here's the kicker. Most people in the bottom 80%, that means a vast majority of Americans, they don't have enough money to save that can take advantage of this to pass down to their kids. They don't have it. They're going to be living on Social Security and whatever meager amounts they were able to put away in their 401k. That's all they're going to have. So this bill was not written for them. This bill was written as yet another tax shelter for the wealthy. It is cloaked as something that can help the poor if you're able to use it. You know, M.G. Decker says, after looking at my last chat, I realized I didn't say thank you for what you're doing. So thank you. Well, I appreciate that. This is a KPFT. You can always thank KPFT for giving us the options of putting programs like this on air here that couldn't go anywhere else, folks. This is too truthful. This is too raw. This is just how it is. And you know, Morris D's a great guy. Love him. Great millionaire. He wants to give back. But he has a newsletter that he puts out. He has a organization called the Patriotic Millionaires. You know how much coverage they get from the mainstream media? Virtually none. They should have been on air. With the bill is going to be signed in 3. The bill is probably going to be signed tomorrow, to put it bluntly. And why is it going to be signed tomorrow? Because the cold front is coming in and the Northeast is going to be in bad shape. So they want to get the hell out of Dodge. So they're going to sign this omnibus bill, and they got to do it before the new Congress, the Republican Congress that can't get anything accomplished done. They have to do it now. So that omnibus bill is going to be getting passed tomorrow. I guarantee you that. Tomorrow or the day after, or sometime soon, because they know the new Congress will be deadlocked. Okay? Why do we tolerate this? Now, some of you that are listening to me, you may be in the top 10%. You may be in the top 20%, and you're like, well, I worked hard for my money. I want my money. That $1 million that I got, I want it. Let's postulate that you are working for, I beat up on the oil companies a lot. So today I'm going to go for a chemical company. Let's say that you are working hard at a chemical company, right? Not as an engineer, because engineers, I always know, engineer myself, we bust our butts to innovate, to create, to make sure operations continue. And those people that are working, doing what the engineers have come up with, the guys who are in that tank, cleaning that tank, shutting down that plant to make sure that the corrosion is not there, etc., they are making things happen. They are working their butts off. They're putting their lives at risk, right? At risk. So it usually irks me when I hear an investor say, I am risking my money, and that's the reason why I get these perks. Well, that guy in that oil tank, that guy in that chemical tank, that guy who's running the cables, that guy who's doing it's in that helicopter fixing the transmission of electricity, they're risking their lives. Well, that guy that's breathing in the air in these factories, they are risking their life. You are sitting down at your pool with a cup of tea and looking at the stock market and saying, oh, it went up today. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Everybody risks. You risk your capital, but your life is intact. Your workers, the people who work for the companies that you're invested in, many a times they're risking a lot more than that. So did you earn that? Let's get clear here. Let's get very clear here. Those who earn income passively, and I include executives as those who earn income passively, should at no point have any additional benefits than what the average American citizen gets. This thing that capital gains is taxed at a lower rate than your regular income. In other words, if you have stocks, you own a piece of stock or whatever, you may only pay 20% in the appreciation of that thing, right? But if you go out there and bust your butt, you could actually have to pay up to 39, I think they reduced it now to 35%, up to 35% of that in taxes. I want you guys to understand this. You are noble. You are worthy more so than any executives who's telling you to put yourself at risk. It is important that you understand that. So let's go about the wealthy. A lot of people that are in the top upper tiers are going to say, well, I want to protect the wealth that I've earned for my kids. I want to make sure that I can transfer to my kids what I worked so hard for. I don't have a problem transferring a few bucks to one's kids. If it's yours, I have no problem doing that. But I do have a problem for you thinking that all that you have, you've earned. When there are so many, the things that irks me the most is when somebody says, and I used to say it too, I let my money work for me. Only a slave owner can say, I let my money work for me and don't have a twitch. Because there is somebody earning the money that you are skimming. Always remember that. I'm not complaining against it specifically, given that we all have the opportunity to do that. But I want you to realize the importance of understanding that that money you didn't earn, that money you received as a quirk in an economic system. Barry, come on in.
Yes, sir. You're providing good comic relief.
All right. I'm glad that you're happy, Brother Barry. How you doing, sir?
Two quick questions. If the working class are paying more taxes, why didn't the Democrats lower taxes when they had the power?
The Democrats would not do that because, and you know something, Barry? You are so right.
Why didn't the Democrats
Barry,
lower the taxes?
I'm about to give you a kudos. Be quiet and listen to what I'm going to tell you. I'm giving you a kudos, my brother. You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay? Next question.
You don't have to be rich. These patriotic millionaires are hypocrites. Like President George Bush said, if you think taxes are too high, the IRS takes checks and money orders. And there are all kinds of charities.
I love you for that.
There are all kinds of charities that money can be donated to.
Right, but
wait a minute, he's complaining about being rich and getting richer?
No, let me explain to what the patriotic millionaires is trying to say. The patriotic, and I want you
I'm well aware of them. I worked with them before. They are hypocrites. They have donated no money.
Barry, listen to me now. I listen to you, Barry. Come on. All right, here it goes. Look, by the way, I just want you to know that I met Morris Pearl personally at Netroots. I think it was one in Arizona. I mean, actually, it was in one in New Orleans. And this guy is for real, and this guy is a donor. Here's the difference between many people. Not every donor goes out and say, I gave to X, Y, and Z. They just go ahead and they give and they just go ahead and do what's right. These guys are not hypocrites. These guys are good people. These guys from the Patriotic Millionaires are darn good people. Now, let's talk about what you said, because you brought up two very important questions. The first one I agree with you on, okay? If Democrats really had the desire, the concern to help poor America and middle class America, as opposed to being just the lapdogs of the wealthy, the neoliberals are. The neoliberal Democrats are the lapdogs of the wealthy and the plutocracy and the oligarchy, which you are right about, Barry. Can you believe we agree on something? Now, our progressives, the real progressive Democrats, the real progressive independents. Something happened in my ear. Guys, I can't hear. Something happened in my ear. I don't think I'm going over it. There we go. Yeah. All right. If we want to be honest about it, progressives are the ones out there that really want to make sure of your worth, that you get paid for what you're worth. Let me ask you something, Barry. And since you've always asked me questions, I'm going to ask you one. What do you do for a living?
I have a private interest in private investments.
Private investments.
That are wholly private.
Say that again?
I have private interest in private investments that are wholly private.
Okay, that's fine. And that's, you don't need to...
That's a good question here.
No, we don't... Wait, no.
How many limousines would you allow Oprah Winfrey to have? 1, 2, or 3?
I don't care.
Okay, how many mansions would you allow her to have?
I don't care either. You see, you miss. I don't. You're missing. That is.
How many yachts?
I don't care either. You're missing the point.
Okay, then is her $5 billion private fortune her money, or
no,
is that a UNC?
No, you are right. Now you're asking the right question. No,
the UNC earned together.
I love what you just gave. You know why I like when you call, sir?
The UNC earned the money together.
No. You didn't.
Okay,
no.
So you did nothing to help her earn a fortune.
Yes, I did. No. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Hold on a second.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You made no investments. You bought no stock. You gave her no financial advice.
Yes, I did.
Nothing. Wait a minute, sir. You were not her financial provider.
Wait a minute. You asked me a question. I'm answering you. You asked me a question. Did I help? Did me personally? Did Marlo personally? Did Rico personally? Did they help?
You.
No. I'm bringing. The reason I'm bringing myself up is because I have to include them as well. Barry, hold on. What did you do to help Oprah Winfrey earn a fortune? I want you to stop. We talk one at a time. I want you to tell you how I helped Oprah. I want to tell you how Rico helped Oprah and all of us. So stop for a second.
Please.
The only reason Oprah has market power is because I watched the Oprah Winfrey Show, and based on what
you were forced to watch it at gunpoint, right?
No, again, let me make the case. You see, the problem with a lot of right wingers, my brother, is that listen. You are so scared of the truth that you can't let somebody else talk.
So to watch Oprah.
Sir, be quiet for a second. Listen, and then we can continue. Okay? I'll give you a chance to talk. Here's how it goes, Barry. I watch Oprah by choice, all right? But in the process of watching Oprah by choice, Oprah is selling my eyeballs. Oprah is selling your eyeballs. Oprah is selling Rico's eyeballs and Marlo's eyeballs to corporate America, who says, wait a minute, if Marlo sees that advertising for that nice dress, Marlo is going to buy it. So therefore, I pay Oprah for what Oprah had gotten for free. So again, the worth that we have to get to people is the following, Barry. People have to understand their worth. You see, we sit down and we look at Oprah. We sit down and we look at Gates. We sit down and we look at all these people and we think these are great people that have done so much, when we all played a part in what they've done. They didn't do it alone. Without me, there's no them.
How much are you owed now?
I'm not owed anything.
Okay. I'm sure.
Let me explain let me tell you what. No, but I can tell you what she's owed. You don't pay me in the aggregate for doing something that makes this system go around. What you do pay for is you tell Oprah that the billions that she wants to accumulate, and I'm using Oprah because you brought Oprah up, but it applies to Bill Gates. It applies to all of them. There are billions
with my example,
there
please.
are billions. There are the billions that Oprah has. The engineer who made the mic, the engineer who designed, who figured out.
They got paid.
They paid once. Oprah gets paid continuously on it. Again, that's what I talk about slave later.
The capitalism game better.
Exactly. You got it right. And that's why the system is a failure.
I have no problem.
I don't want to drop. No,
better.
This guy's good. This guy's good for business. This guy is great for business. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why Barry is good. And anybody that wants to come in, please come.
Okay.
Because Barry gives you the opportunity. You know what Barry just taught us here? Hear what Barry said. Barry just said, capitalism. She played capitalism better than the engineer. He's right. Barry is right. She played capitalism better than the engineer. And it proves that capitalism then has no knowledge. Because what it proves is that the engineer made the mic, the engineer made the physicist figured out how to transmit signals, all these things that she depends on. Yet she's the one who makes the money off of it.
All got paid.
Barry, I appreciate your call, but I want to tell you one thing. I want to thank you first of all for giving me the opportunity to make that point. Because it's a point.
I'm so glad you said she doesn't owe you any of her money.
No, she doesn't. But she owes the government. She owes we the people, not
she
me.
Pays her taxes.
She owes. No, she does not. She does not pay the taxes that is due upon her wealth. Yes.
Tax forms?
No, I have not seen. But you know what?
Okay, then you don't know.
The fact
you do not know.
The fact that she's accumulated the wealth means that. But thank you, Barry. You have a wonderful day, brother. You have a great day. Let me tell you what I like about Barry. Barry is consistent, but Barry gives us a chance, an opportunity to teach. Because here's what we learned from what Barry allowed me to say. Okay, he wants, the thing that they always do, right, is like, how many yachts can Oprah have? I say, I don't care. How many limousines can Oprah have? I don't care. But you know what? If Oprah were paying the amount of taxes, if Oprah were paying commensurate with what other people have done in broadcasting, etc., she would not have had the money to buy 5 yachts. She would not have had the money to have 100 limousines. It's only because we have a system that does it that she has that. And I'm glad he used Oprah as an example. Because Oprah is everybody loves to love Oprah. And I love Oprah, okay? Oprah is just playing the game better than everybody else, as he said. He's absolutely right about that. He's absolutely right about that. What I want to do is level the game so that others don't have to learn to play a capitalist game that is nothing more. And when I say this, I'm talking about a regulated system. When you have a game where you have to be callous enough to play, and if you decide that you don't want to be callous, let me give an example, personal example. A license that I used to sell to Boeing for serial comm. I sold it for whatever the market could bear, which was a bunch. And I remember the night that I felt guilty about doing it. I remember the night I felt guilty about doing it. And saying, my God, Boeing had no problem paying for this license. But you know why? Because Boeing never had to pay for that license. The way the system works, those of us with pricing power can charge you anything. And it's the lowest person on the totem pole. And by lowest, I don't mean poor or anything like that. I mean the person who's at the end of the chain. I'm talking about the person who was going to buy that ticket on the Boeing airplane. They ultimately paid me. So when Barry says, does she owe you anything? When I sold those licenses to Boeing, you see, every person who flew on a 787, they paid me, right? Because Boeing passed it right down to them. There has to be a limit. There has to be more equity. And this is not rocket science, or this is not goody two-shoe trying to feel good. This is saying that the results over the last few decades of all this, of us not having an equitable system, is what has moved most of our money. That the top 10% or so own more than 70 or 80% of the entire wealth of this country. Shouldn't you want to do something about that? And can you do something about that? I end my essay saying the following: we can do better. We should do better. We must do better. But to do so, we must be informed. And a media that should be working to keep us enlightened are not doing that in the aggregate. In fact, they're doing the opposite. All I try to do here, folks will want to label me all kinds of things when I talk like this. They'll want to call me a communist. They want to call me a Marxist. I don't cop to any of it. I cop to just one thing, having an economic system that serves us all. That's who I am. An economic system. You want to own your pizza shop? By God, do it. You want to own your oil company? By God, do it. Do all these things you want to do on your own. And we should allow free enterprise. I truly, honestly, 100% believe in free enterprise. I don't believe in a stock market that is nothing more than a casino. I was supposed to talk a little bit more about the stock market as a casino today as a part of this article, but I don't have the time now after all. But I want to remind you guys of one thing. Would you really buy a product that just has what you think it's going to be worth or what you think it's going to be ultimate goal? I doubt it. You wouldn't. But that's what the stock market is, a casino. My contention is a stock should be valued at no more than the total assets of the company, and everything else goes into the form of profit, dividends, etc. Still have the structure. You just remove the lies out of it. But during the internet revolution, I want you guys to remember a phrase that was called EBITDA. EBITDA. Look up that word. It's a symbol. EBDT. I don't remember how to. It stands for earnings before income tax, and look it up. That's how they were valuing companies. So somebody put up a website, have a huge EBITDA, and they became wealthy. I want you guys to understand these concepts, folks. And we're going to be doing that over time. Over time, we're going to be talking about this over time. I wish I'd gotten more calls. I wish more people would have called and said, hey, Egberto, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't get that. But that's okay. I know you're listening because I see you in the chat. I see you talking. But I want you guys to know one thing. Everything that you hear here, you can take it at face value if you've developed enough trust in politics done right. But otherwise, feel free, research, look it up. I have no problem with you second guessing the things we talk about here. Check it out. Just don't keep yourself indoctrinated by those who have absolutely no care for you. I guarantee you that's not what you get here at KPFT 90.1 FM. On Politics Done Right. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.